Seen in our reports here on Queen 6, Oregon is facing an addiction crisis. Now, one of Oregon's leading voices on addiction and recovery is unveiling a blueprint for solutions.
So tonight we're learning about a 12-step program. It has some actions that require law changes, but others that can be implemented right away. Now, Brandon Thompson going beyond the headlines. Brandon, what exactly would this problem, this plan do to solve the problem?
The overall goal, reduce the addiction and overdose rates, as well as address Oregon's standing as what the federal government identifies as the second in the nation for drug and alcohol addiction. So those are the top two goals: reduce the overdoses and reduce alcohol-related deaths, and make sure people can get the help they need. Oregon Recover says by raising prices, reducing supply, and getting the organizations that deal with addiction on the same page, Oregon can make real progress quickly. The first step in fighting Oregon's addiction crisis, Mike Marshall, who leads Oregon Recover, says is to declare it an emergency, then coordinate the organizations who deal with it. That means getting OHA, OLCC, and the Measure 110 Oversight Committee under the direction of the Alcohol Drug Policy Commission, creating a single decision maker to report to the governor.
It doesn't need to be a new bureaucracy, but it does need to have the resources to do the research, as well as the authority to have the different state agencies respond to its leadership.
Marshall says the state needs to mobilize emergency detox centers. He envisions these are like the field hospitals the state created during the pandemic, with case managers on site to help people get treatment.
So we have a whole backlog of people that actually want access to detox services but don't have them.
Marshall believes the state needs to fix aspects to Measure 110, saying law enforcement should always confiscate drugs they find and conduct sweeps to reduce the supply.
So over time, if the cops actually do it in a meaningful way, raise the price of these street drugs, which are just so dirt cheap that it's virtually impossible to sort of interrupt people's use.
Marshall believes the state needs to proactively protect the public, meaning that investing messaging that shows the economic and health impacts of drug and alcohol addiction, and restricting alcohol and marijuana advertising until addiction rates fall. One of the last steps on the plan that Marshall sees as most important is raising the price of mind-altering substances, namely marijuana and alcohol. Oregon's beer tax is one of the lowest in the nation. Wine is in the bottom half. Liquor taxes are controlled by the OLCC.
The current OLCC is morphed into an entity that is more concerned about Oregon's boutique alcohol industry than on the public health aspects of it.
Marshall thinks some of these can be moved on immediately and hopes lawmakers in Salem are motivated to work quickly on others during the short session in February. So we reached out to Governor Kotek about this. Her office says that she welcomes recommendations, especially from those who are in the field of recovery and addiction, and that her team is reviewing these recommendations. I also reached out to the OLCC. They say that they have always and will continue to work on dissuading alcohol abuse, and they point to $19 million over the last 2 years that have gone to treatment programs. A person I spoke with in the marijuana industry says that increasing pricing could push people to get marijuana outside of regulated outlets and stores. We reached out to PPB and Police Commissioner Mayor Wheeler about drug confiscation. The mayor's office says PPB does confiscate drugs when the law allows and target drug distribution. So Oregon Recover says there needs to be more treatment and recovery beds. There's about half of what the state needs right now, but they don't think that the private market can take care of that on its own. They think that the state needs to put some resources towards it.
Okay, well, it'll be interesting to see how this idea develops and if they can make some headway here, especially when it comes to alcohol abuse. We focus so much on drug addiction.
Right.
We've kind of forgotten alcohol's a huge addiction issue, and this program seems to address that.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Brandon.